whatever you do, do not sleep on Kid Cosmic. Craig McCracken's new 2D animated series is perfect for superhero fans with dark senses of humor. And although it's advertised as a kids show on Netflix, even older cartoon fans will appreciate it. Kid Cosmic tells the tale of a group of local superheroes who will do anything to protect their tiny town and the people inside of it. But because it just came out, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. I'm Whitney Van Laningham, and here's why you should stop what you're doing and binge Kid Cosmic on Netflix. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to our super nerd sponsors of the day, Axel and Aries, for supporting us on Patreon. Like I said a second ago, this will be a plot spoiler-free review, so don't worry. If you haven't seen Kid Cosmic yet, I'm not going to ruin anything for you. Everything we're talking about is shared in the trailer, but if you want to go in completely blind, now's your chance to step out. Now, on to Kid Cosmic. Craig McCracken has created so many beloved series, it's easy to see why the show is so great. He was the mind behind the Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends on Cartoon Network before switching over to Disney to make Wander Over Yonder. In fact, the guy who does the voice of Papa G, Keith Ferguson, is also the voice of Blue from Foster's and Lord Hater from Wander, so that's pretty cool. Also, Tom Kenny is Chuck the Alien, but I don't think I need to remind any Nerdwire fans how many cartoons he's been in. In a small dusty town somewhere around New Mexico, there's not really much to do. That is, until a boy named the Kid finds a set of 5 power stones in the desert that allow the user to activate alien superpowers. If you're a fan of the Infinity War storyline from Marvel, these little guys should look familiar to you. Their purpose is pretty similar. Whoever possesses the stone is imbued with its energy and able to unlock rad new abilities. Like the Infinity Stones, they're highly sought after by evil aliens across the galaxy who want to get their hands on the stones and use them to rule. But Kid and his gang of local heroes are pretty much the farthest thing from the Avengers that they could be. Instead of being a powerful team of seasoned superheroes with expensive tech, access to ancestral magic, or intense assassin training, these guys are a motley crew of regular townies. Pretty much all there is in this town is a truck stop, a diner, and a junkyard. So this gang isn't exactly hooked up with Stark Industries or a butt-ton of vibranium. They dub themselves the local heroes and get to work teaching themselves how to save Earth and activate their new powers. One of the reasons why this show is so great for all ages is because of the diverse age range of the protagonists. We've got Rosa, a 4-year-old, the Kid who seems to be around 8 or 9, Joe, a teenager, and Papa G, an elderly man. Sometimes it can be hard to identify with characters who are much younger or much older than you. This show solves that problem by introducing a variety of characters of different ages and races so that more people can see themselves represented on screen. Each of the heroes has their own power stone that comes with its own unique abilities, and although Kid hesitates at first to invite more people to share them, it's clear that each of their individual skill sets are needed to stave off evil aliens who want to steal the stones for themselves. After seeing Kid activate the green stone and start flying around, Joe takes the purple stone and figures out the joys and horrors of teleportation. Rosa steals the blue stone and uses it to become Nina Gigantica, aka she has the power to grow 100 times her size and shrink back to normal. And Papa G with the yellow stone can multiply himself. Because this show is being marketed towards younger viewers, it's important to note that this show does not talk down to kids or sugarcoat the realities of intergalactic warfare, and is, in fact, far more mature than the animation stylings would lead you to believe. My favorite shows are shows that respect kids' intelligence and don't try to dumb things down or oversaturate the message. The morals and ideals of this story sit patiently in the background of this wacky science fiction adventure, but when they do step out into the spotlight, they don't overstay their welcome, and they provide more challenging thoughts than other shows of its breed. In that regard, I'd liken Kid Cosmic to being the sillier younger cousin to Infinity Train. As an older viewer, there will be plenty of times where you'll crack a smile and wonder how a kids' show is getting away with the sense of humor it has. Some of the jokes have sort of a Rick and Morty for kids vibe, and there's even a little alien blood and guts in some parts for the horror fans among us. Because it's still definitely not an adult cartoon, the graphic scenes aren't super hardcore, but some of them are definitely shocking. If I was still doing my adult jokes and kids shows series, Kid Cosmic would break the record for extreme existentialism and moderate gore. Don't get me wrong, the show isn't scary and the gore is still TVY7, so it isn't gross. But if you don't mind a few solid giggles in the face of intergalactic doom, you'll love this. Also, you cannot tell me that Papa G wasn't designed based on Willie Nelson. I won't spoil it for you, but there are definitely a couple moments where you can tell the behavior is modeled after the world's most famous cowboy hippie, and they're hilarious. Another thing I love about Kid Cosmic is its retro animation style. It's a nice departure from the traditional CalArts style that we've all grown to know and love over the past decade. Not that there's anything wrong with CalArts animation, but there's something refreshing about seeing a new series that draws from Calvin and Hobbes and Bones as opposed to Gumball. Craig McCracken based this cartoon on his comic strip of the same name from 2009, but he quickly realized that if he was going to make it into a show, it had to be serialized. The comic sat on the back burner while he worked on other projects, but Netflix picked it up in 2018, and Craig began writing a 10-episode series based on his original ideas. Craig McCracken cites his earliest artistic love as comics, and spent most of his time drawing them. In high school, he realized that he enjoyed setting the jokes in his comic strips to musical cues to enhance them, and decided to pursue a career in animation instead. That love of comics clearly never died, however, and this show is proof. Although I mentioned earlier the Power Stones of Kid Cosmic's similarities to Marvel's Infinity Stones, this show is the farthest thing from a cheap ripoff imaginable. The superheroic elements don't feel shoehorned in just to capitalize on a billion-dollar Hollywood fad, and you can tell that Craig has a deep affinity for the comic book medium. Even when the show lampoons the superhero genre with criticism, Kid Cosmic's reverence for its inspiration keeps it organic and away from being preachy. In many ways, Kid Cosmic is a love letter not only to superheroes like the Avengers or Green Lantern, but also to classic comic strips. In an interview with Animation Magazine, Craig said that the show's animation design was inspired by other comic-based shows like Dennis the Menace from 1986 and The Adventures of Tintin from 1981. Both of these shows also began as comic strips in 1951 and 1929 respectively, and their cartoon adaptations honored the feeling of those, just like Kid Cosmic. Because the show is set in New Mexico, the animators had a lot of opportunities to create truly beautiful desert landscapes to set the scene, but it also allowed them to build a believable world about regular people who become superheroes and fight aliens. This story could never happen in the big city. If a bunch of aliens just randomly crash landed, there would be a lot more people than a diner's worth of small town folks and transient truckers to witness it. So the remote setting is perfect. Plus, it's a little homage to Area 51, which is also in New Mexico. Aliens just love the desert, man, what can I tell you? This landscape design was also based on one of Craig McCracken's favorite comics, Crazy Cat. Crazy Cat was also set in the desert, so if you check out those old comic panels from 1913, you'll see where he got the inspiration from. Crazy Cat was created by comic legend George Harriman and set in the desert in Arizona. Its offbeat surrealism definitely reminds me of some of the action we see in this series. Likewise, the aliens' character designs in this show are totally bonkers, varied, and a personal highlight of the series. While some of them are definitely original, wacky designs, others are clearly references to iconic aliens in entertainment. Another one of my favorite things about Kid Cosmic is that it's a superhero story that's more about the people and less about their powers. Of course, stumbling upon magic alien stones in the middle of nowhere is pretty rad, but watching Kid and the local heroes grow, change, and develop hope for bigger things is even more awesome. Craig also said in that interview with Animation Mag that he wanted to capture the feeling of being young and believing that you could truly do anything. Kid and his gang might spend most of their time hanging out in the same 3 places in a nowhere town, but discovering these stones allows them to experience adventures they'd never see in 1,000 lifetimes if they hadn't found them. At the heart of these adventures are the characters' loved ones, Joe and Rosa's parents, the folks at the diner, and each other. They might be fighting for Earth, but they're doing so mostly in anonymity with no greed for fortune and glory. Ultimately, the local heroes are able to prove to themselves that they're stronger and braver than they ever could have imagined, and they're able to extend the empathy that they feel for their tiny slice of home to everyone in the galaxy. These are just some of my thoughts on Kid Cosmic, but I want to know what you guys think about the series. Are y'all digging the comic book feel, or do you like the design of Foster's or Powerpuff Girls better? Let me know in the comments below, like and subscribe to Nerdwire, and stay tuned for more Kid Cosmic vids.